Hello everyone and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Kaitou Sentai LupinRanger vs. Keisatsu Sentai PatoRanger. I'm Vashivi and joining me today are...
Decade.
The Little King.
And Rye.
And today we're talking about episode 42. So, we open with a recap, and Kairi encounters Noelle at a cafe, outdoors, and immediately Destra shows up and attacks them. A Kaitou change, Gosh shows up, back Destra. Destra says he's willing to throw away his pride to carry on Dogranio's legacy as his successor. Wow, that's awesome. Opening. Thoughts?
Not any taken. I can appreciate that. So, I mean, Destra's finally on the table. But screw my pride. Loyalty to the boss wants me to be a successor. That's what I'ma fucking do. Forget. And you know, we've seen how powerful. I think we all know how Scar when he really.
Yeah, Destra continues to be a great character here. He's doing all of this for the man he respects the most. And he has decided to put his own, ideals where he doesn't like Gosh to finally just achieve his true goal that he cares about, which involves Dogranio. And if he has to be the one to carry on Dogranio's legacy, if he's the only one worthy of being the successor in his mind, then so be it. He'll become the successor.
Like, everything about Dogranio here in the last couple episodes has been amazing. Because we've seen him go from basically, I'm gonna be Dogranio's bitch boy and do whatever he wants, to, nope, we're just gonna whoop some ass. And I'm gonna take this shit over, because that's what Dogranio wishes for. So, seeing him basically go balls to the wall, swallow his pride, work with Gosh, was amazing. His character has grown for a series that hasn't really been focused on the villains. He's done a fair bit of character growth. I did like the fact of when they Kairi and Noelle were talking, and they're like, Kairi looked at Noelle's like, he's like, you should leave before you get targeted. And Kairi's like, you're in your uniform, you're a bigger target. And he's like, no, it's fine. And then Destra.
In fact, Destra didn't know Lupin Red's identity before just then, when Kairi didn't run away.
Right. It was one of those, like, haha, called it, fuck, kind of moments. It was great.
Yep, so when we come back, we get the episode title, number 42, Time for Battle. So Gosh uses her collection piece to scan Lupin Red and X kind of freaks out and rushes in recklessly. X and Red lose, Siren and Victory Striker. Destra puts both in his safes. Worst case scenario. Now Destra can predict attacks and kind of manipulate gravity. The PatoRangers arrive, so Destra slams his hammer into the ground, basically nuking a portion of the city. Without the radiation, of course, but yeah, it's bad. Thoughts?
Am I the only one who thought we are so fucked?
No.
Everybody had that thought.
Oh my god, they could not have screwed themselves over as much as this, especially with Gosh helping. And of course, Noelle losing his cool and freaking out like that certainly did not help, as I'm sure we all guessed. So, I completely agree with that analogy. He friggin' nuked a city minus the actual nuke. That's guts right there.
Yeah, my first thought was, wait, Siren Striker controls gravity? Oh, okay. My second thought was, that's a good chunk of the city that no longer exists. Like, this is, I was complaining before that, like, oh, he gave away his personal collection pieces so we couldn't really see him fight with them. This is way better. These are way stronger.
This is like the best option that they could have done for Destra. Because we all had the ideas like, oh, well, Ghost or somebody else could give up their collection pieces to him. This worked out best. Because, A, this is how you nerf a power-up. Let the bad guys have it. Immediately, so that was a nice touch. And it created a massive, hurdle that they had to overcome. And then all those poor people, ladies and gentlemen, at least they're keeping Tomoka heroes in business.
Yeah, someone called Tomika Rescue Fire. Oh wait, they might be in space right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Damn it, Gavan, you fucked shit up.
Pat Rangers meet Tomika Heroes. Who wants it?
They're gonna need it if we get more destruction than Destra did.
True.
So, Jim briefs the police on the damage and the lost collection pieces. Kogure bandages Kairi at Jiraiya. Kairi wonders why X rushed in earlier. Then Kogure tightens the bandages, hurting Kairi. Goody asks Noel if he's okay, and he replies that he's not sure. So, it looks like Noel and Kogure still have some secrets, and I'm glad we got some foreshadowing right now, even though we're focused on killing Destra.
I knew it. I knew Kogure was gonna make waves eventually, and this is proof because he's still an ass, and he's still keeping secrets, even though we're, I want to say, maybe 7, 8 episodes to the end max. Like, what the hell, guys? Come on. We can't keep. Okay. At the very least, it is about Noel, so I can forgive that. And, hell, you all know I'm a sucker for Noel, so I will let this slide. And besides, the more mystery, the better, I say.
Okay, so there's a lot of ground to cover with that one collection piece, the binoculars. So when Gosh first uses them, she, I guess, doesn't have enough time to get a good read on Kairi. And then when Kairi asks Kogure about them, he panics and never brings it up again. And then when Noel sees them, he panics without explaining what they do. So what the hell do? They clearly analyze a person, but how far does that analysis go? And what could it possibly reveal that's so dangerous? We learn a little something about Noel in the next scene, but even giving that information, it doesn't seem to be enough to justify not being so scared of that collection piece that you wouldn't even tell the others what it does. Like, there's got to be more going on than just what we learn in 2 minutes.
Right, because everything about this collection piece has been so secret. Oh my god, everybody's gonna die if it gets used, kind of. I mean, figuratively, anyways. That it seems like even with what we learn, it still doesn't cover enough ground for why the terror is there.
Like, I can understand keeping that particular secret a secret. However, there is no way they could draw that conclusion from knowing what the collection piece does, if that's all it does. So there's obviously more to it, right?
There has to be, because, like you said, like the secret that we're either handed or supposed to be insinuated anyways. There's really no bearing on it. It doesn't change anything. It's not threatening. I'm sure there are issues there, but nothing that seems like, holy shit, this is like the worst thing ever. Like,
Yeah.
they've let it to
there are
be.
definitely personal grievances that are associated with it, but there's nothing there that's like life-threatening the way they're treating it.
But yeah, it was like it was weird to see. It's like I didn't catch the exact what it showed when Noel got scanned. But
You know, I have the video up still. I can just rewind and look.
Well, it didn't actually show anything, but
That's
Gosh,
what I thought.
Gosh giggles and says, "Ooh, I found something interesting."
Yeah, that's what I thought. Gosh just gets her like generic readings.
okay, so I was like, I didn't miss anything. I was in the middle of cooking when I watched this. But yeah, it's like it leads to basically everything getting fucked off from the plan. It's really all it does for this particular point. Seeing the fact that Kogure is still being Kogure makes sense. And I depend if the way this is revealed and insinuated later, it does explain some of the issue between Goody and Kogure, which I think is a nice touch. If that is what it is.
And even if they're like worried that, like, oh hey, if the other thieves know what this collection piece does, they could learn the secret with it. But they can't, because not only is the collection piece useless to normal humans without being modified by Noel, when they get the collection pieces that aren't already modified, they hand them right over to Kogure to be put in his magic book, which might also be a collection piece.
Yep, it's pretty interesting. But we might take a while to find out what's going on. We'll see. So the global police and thieves wonder how to fight Destra. Keiichiro tells them that they'll let the thieves steal his pieces. He's pretty confident that they'll be there, instead of directly asking them for help. And Kairi feels the same, and wants to let the police distract Destra. Same tactic that they used on Raimon, pretty much. So, Kogure finds Noel at a park at night. He reminds him that he wanted Noel to stay at the manor in Paris. At least that's what our translation says. But Noel is determined not to lose anymore. That's why he came to Japan. But Kogure tells him that they must work from the shadows and orders Noel not to go into battle. So, it's pretty obvious from our theories that he might be the heir to
Doesn't
Arsene.
Kogure straight up say, your collection was already stolen?
As per our translation, yes, that is the exact phrase he uses.
I think he might have been talking more about the pieces, but yeah, that you could be right too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
oh man. Sorry. Oh, okay. Just me. Oh man. Just the theories alone are all over the place, and I love it. And of course, I mean, there is a lot to glean from this. the obvious parts, of course, but then there's also the fact that, well, I kind of had the two Reds had. It's been a long time coming, but now, while yes, in each other's guts, they're both starting to, I guess, acknowledge each other in battle to the point where they're willing not to kill each other at first glance, I guess is the best way to put it. Because now the two Reds are thinking, okay, there's a run this weekend. Let them get the piece. It's a win for them. They get what they want, and we can take down Destra. That's what we want. And then vice versa. So I kind of like how now, especially since they've been teasing the whole Keiichiro's kind of like Kairi's brother thing, their synergy is starting to sync up a little bit, and they're finally starting not just to see each other as sworn enemies to kill at all costs, but something to be acknowledged, something that you may not agree with, but is also something that can help you win the war. So, something to think about.
Okay. Yeah, the thing about the two Reds is that they're not thinking along the same lines here. They just know how each other acts. They know what each other is like. Kairi knows that the cops are going to try and fight the Ganglar even if it seems like a losing battle. Keiichiro knows that the thieves want the collection pieces, whatever they want them for. They're just working off of information that they have. This is like the team up that we've been waiting for. Nothing prompted it other than a strong enemy, and they realize, like, alright, this is just what we have to do now. As for more on what Koguri says, alright, when he said your collection was already stolen, he probably was referring to Siren Striker. However, stay back at the mansion in Paris and though just the general concern for him, like, even if Noel isn't the current Lupin, he's probably Lupin's son. It's probably Lupin who was taken from him and he wants back.
Right, which I pointed out when they got Lupin Magnum, the way Noel looked at that hologrammy thing that popped up.
Yeah, congratulations. Your theory seems to be turning out true.
Because, like, my original one was that he was probably, Lupin in disguise. Him being his descendant makes more sense with the whole getting back what was lost aspect. As for the Reds, the teams working together, it's like, this is the most natural way to do it. Because it isn't so much of we're going to let them steal the collection pieces. It was we need them to steal the collection pieces, because if they don't steal the collection pieces, we're fucked.
We had that moment with Ryman before where they just kind of spur the moment work together, and then Goody just decided to keep it going on his own. We've had the moment with the monster that Gosh created, where I believe Noel prompted working together at that point. No one prompted this one.
This was literally, well, fuck, this is the lesser of two evils kind of thing. At least for Cager, it was the lesser of two evils. And same with Kairi, because it's not so much of we're going to work together, it's no, we're going to use the other team. Both of them are using each other. Yeah, the end goal ends up being the same. The end goal is destroying Destra.
And can I say, they are literally doing the same thing Destra is. They're throwing aside their pride for their more important goal.
What is the word I'm thinking of? The similarities here between, like, the character growth this mimics perfectly. It's like, and I think that's what makes this so natural. Because here you have a villain that threw away his pride and is basically going to go to whatever lengths to win. So that means teaming up with Ghost, stealing different power-ups, and using them instead of using the ones that DeGranio's been giving out or whoever's been passing those about. And then you have the the two teams going, well, fuck. We have no choice. We're gonna suck it up and do this.
Yep. So the next day, the police and thieves suit up. Destro attacks the global police station. The police Keisatsu change and attack. The thieves arrive and Kaitou change. So then the LupinRangers kind of wait for the perfect moment to steal Destro's pieces, but he can still see them coming and deflects them with a gravity barrier. The 6 Rangers continue to fight while Noah looks on. Destro slams his hammer again and knocks them out of their forms, and picks up Cyclone and Magic because Blue and Yellow dropped him. The Red Thief and Keiichiro lock eyes and wonder what the other will do in this situation. Kaitou stands again, and Kaitou changes. He fires Lupin Magnum away from Destro to propel himself into the gravity barrier. He keeps firing and eventually breaks it long enough to start Magnum's finisher. Destro creates another barrier to stop it, but Patora and Ichigo rushes in and uses Cyclone and Magic to steal Siren Striker. Destro is blasted by the finisher, and Patora and X shows up and steals Victory Striker. Holy crap, the fights in this show. That was just so amazing, and I mean, who really saw that coming? Red is so great. Thoughts?
That was so fucking awesome! This is why I watch Super Sentai. Innovative and badass. This was so fucking and so much fun and so clever, and I suckered, but I don't care. That was amazing. Kudos to Kairi, kudos to Keiichiro, and friggin' Noelle coming in for the swoop. Fuck Koganai, that was awesome.
This was a battle worthy of defeating a general. This was an example of them being on this, having the same line of thought of, hey, he's got 2 dials right next to his safe. One of us can go and grab them. And just the way it was executed was superb, because Destro used both collection pieces, giving Keiichiro the perfect opportunity to see which safe had which piece in it. Oh hey, there's the one that with the gravity piece in it. And it's about to kill Lupin Red. Okay, grab that one.
Like, this went even further to also point out the limitations on basically Super Lupin Red's power. Because it's been shown that it predicts the future. It can't predict everything. Lupin Red doing what he did drew all of Destro's attention, which let Keiichiro steal the 2 collection pieces and steal his Siren Striker.
Even better is that Kairi warned him, like, yeah, your pieces are gonna get taken. He's like, I can already tell you're not going for my pieces. Yeah, so?
Right.
This isn't a one-on-one.
Right. It's like it shows a decent enough limitation to where it will even limit when Red uses it. Because if he's super focused on something, then he's gonna miss shit. Which I think would be partially why he missed Zamigo teleporting a couple episodes ago. Because he was so focused on the one thing that he couldn't see anything beyond it. So this was a very nice touch, and Noelle swooping in it led. This was, like Bryce said, a battle worthy of a general. Which I was wondering how they were going to handle something like this, and the fact that we've had three episodes dedicated to Destra kicking ass, or is it just two? Either way, that's still more than most enemies have been getting.
Yeah.
But it's not so much. It's shown the desperation and how tough of a general he is, which now leads to the discussion of how much more powerful is Ghosh, because she's the only general left.
She is not physically stronger than Destra.
Right, but she
has strategy, though.
Right, she has intelligence. She has, for lack of a better term, military strategy. For lack of a better term. But yeah, this was absolutely amazing, and led to one of the best moments in this series so far, which will be the roll call coming up.
Yeah, so the two Red Rangers are glad their improvised teamwork succeeded. X apologizes for being late, but Ichigo was confident that he would come. Red was too, because he knew Noel would steal the spotlight. Then, Destra interrupts their heartfelt moment by firing missiles at them. 5 Rangers emerge from the fire and roll call. Super Lupin Red, Lupin Blue, Lupin Yellow, PatoRanger Yugo, and Super Lupin X. They use their finishers and defeat Destra. So freaking badass. And of course it's an in-scene or on-set roll call, so yeah, that was just awesome. Keep going through the mech fight. He emerges from the fire and calls for Ghosh. She turns him giant. Goody arrives. They deploy Good Kuru Kaiser VSX. But this time Yellow is with Nigo and Blue is with Sango. Ichigo tells them not to fight and they all call him out. The Rangers pummel Destra and ready the mech finisher. Destra actually releases the pins on his body because he's basically like grenade famed, opening his body to fire a beam and a shit ton of missiles. But they're no match, and Destra is defeated. Thoughts?
Best finisher easily. And one of the coolest mech fights. I love it when they bring out VSX, because in this series, when they bring out VSX, shit's going down. And oh my god, did it go down. And I don't know how else to describe this and sounding like a broken record. Me to say it. This was so. Oh my gosh! And the little joke with Keiichiro was fine. So I was smiling throughout. I had so much fun.
That was one of the best roll calls we have ever had. I actually have a slight problem with it in that it feels like Blue and Yellow got a little shafted in it. I would have even accepted just them like tacking on whatever collection gun they were holding onto their name, like Lupin Blue Magic and Lupin Yellow Cyclone. Mech Fight is probably the best this show has. Like, we get a lot of good stuff there. They mixed in some CG with normal stuff really well to get some really good effects going. And it is an appropriate send-off for Destra. And I realized something that I really like about their all-together mech. It is not literally an all-together mech. They are not literally combining every single auxiliary mech into it. They are just swapped out parts. And I appreciate that. This thing would look like a mess if they tried combining everything.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm glad about too. Is like, because if you look at some of the past altogether mechs that have had a lot of accessory mechs, they looked like crap. Like,
I think the best one to ever pull it off was Go-Onger.
right, Go-Ongers looks pretty good. Shinkengers look like shit.
Shinkengers look so bad. I really liked the final fight where it was literally falling apart.
But this was an amazing roll call. I do feel like Rai that blue and yellow kind of got shafted a little bit, but I can live with it. Because this type of roll call is kind of what you would expect towards the literal end of the series.
This felt like it was could have been the final roll call.
Well, we know it's not the final roll call because they still had their helmets on. Which I want them to do a helmet off Yugo. I want to see that.
No, that's not happening. No.
A man can hope for very, very bad CG. I mean, it's Toei, so it's not something they're not used to.
I'm just gonna stay out of this one.
But the mech fight itself was amazing. I did like the fact of Goody's explanation for why they were grouped the way they were. It's like, yeah, this is the strongest way to stick you guys in the cockpits, like it makes a difference. Because in theory, it shouldn't make a difference.
It's about who's cooperating with who.
Right.
And while in the past he was sticking them with teammates that they get along with, here he's putting them with like-minded individuals.
Right. I did like the fact that Keiichiro also got ripped on too, in that it wasn't just everybody yelling at Keiichiro.
Kairi.
You
said Keiichiro twice.
Right.
Yeah, they were both getting ripped on, like, you're one to talk. We should be saying that to you.
And I did like the fact that the mech used Lupin Magnum as part of its finisher.
And I like that Lupin Magnum stayed separate from the mech itself. It was just a giant gun.
Right. I mean, even when it did its pose at the end, it was literally just holding Lupin Magnum. Just a very, very massive one, and that was a nice touch.
Yeah, so Degranio sits in silence and tells Gosh to leave him. Pours a glass for himself and Destro. He doesn't look happy. Unlike Guinness. So the global police celebrate at Dreher with Jim and Hilltop, and Kairi pours some celebratory drinks for themselves as well. Episode end. Thoughts?
Simple, yet effective. And hey, I'm a sucker for Hilltop. Even Jim was cute. You don't really need the big grand finale a lot of the time. The mech fights do that for their own right. So, I liked how simple this was. It was both a mourning and a celebration for equal reasons. But yeah, Degranio did not look happy. I can only imagine where this is gonna go.
Where this is gonna go is Degranio is gonna get out of his chair. This is, Degranio has shown emotion throughout the series, but this is, the most emotional he's gotten. Sorry, my headset fell off. He was legit upset here. He wasn't just, saying goodbye to his top general. He was mourning the loss of a friend. And he is going to do something about it.
This is one of the things, and I actually have to clarify. Did you actually reference Genis, Decade? I'm gonna assume the silence is a yes. But yeah, when you look back through Sentai, you don't really see this type of thing where the big bad feels anything when a general dies. Genis is a good example, considering the fact that basically all of this is done for the leader's entertainment. Yeah, the ultimate purpose here is for succession, but you still want to entertain your boss. When any of the generals died in Zyuohger, it was met with whatever. Who am I gonna make a general now? Kind of thing, and that's how most of Sentai is, from what I've seen. So to have a big bad basically feel like shit because one of their best men just died, and it showed as well as it did with this scene, was amazing and fantastic to see.
The last time I remember a Sentai villain being upset that his generals died was the very end of Tokyuger, where Zet's last two generals were literally sacrificing themselves to save him, and he's like, "Don't you guys do this to me!"
Well, I mean, Zet was a unique Sentai villain in his own right. Because Zet really wasn't a. I mean, he was a bad guy, but he was more curious about the light than the darkness. So him having that type of reaction would make sense, because he, like I say, he was all about basically everything that was good in that show, but he's stuck in the darkness. So it was more that fixation, which made sense for him to react this way. This is just the general, you've been a part of this for so long. I'm going to miss you, and I'm going to wreck somebody's shit for this. Which is amazing. Which also leads to the complication of, where the fuck is Amigo? Again, where the fuck is
I
Amigo?
banged my head on my desk for 20 minutes.
Like, isn't it funny how the general that we started off thinking, oh, he's a little generic, he's like, oh, the big, strong, brooding type, versus the one that we thought was going to be, like, the one that we're going to have the most interest in, have basically role reversed on us. Destra ended up having a lot of personality to him, and Zamigo has just been boring.
Right, it's what I like about this series, is like it's captivated our interesting characters and shifted our point of views on characters throughout the series. Like, one of the biggest complaints I've seen for this series is it's, in terms of plot, it's so slow paced and all that. It's like, but then you get moments like these, and that make up for that. Because this series, in terms of plot, has been extremely slow paced, and now that things are ramping up, it's like our takes on characters have shifted from when we first met them. Aside from Go, she's still creepy as fuck. And even our viewpoint on DeGranio has changed just with this scene alone. Because he's always just seemed of, okay, that guy who really doesn't care. And clearly he cares. It makes him an identifiable villain. So, like, now anything he does will, from our viewpoints, he's justified in what he's doing now. Because now it hits, you killed my friend. Whether Destra assumed the role of right-hand man, I'm gonna, be that guy who just protects you and does that. DeGranio obviously viewed him as something more important to him than that. And given that this series is such about the loss of that person for everybody in the show, or at least the LupinRangers, to have that be a part of the villain is amazing.
Yeah, so before we get to final thoughts, the episode trailer for next week. The old Patren Nigo returns.
So TV Neon put out the Nigo special, so we can actually watch that and have a bit more context to his character before next week.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch it again because
Spoiler alert, it
pretty
should have
good.
been in the main series.
Yeah, totally.
I haven't seen it all yet.
So yeah,
Neither have
for
I.
anyone who doesn't know, it's bundled with episode 40 on TVN, so you can watch it there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to next week.
So, I'm interested in seeing this character return because he's clearly returning as antagonistic character. Based on what we talked about today, where Noel is pretty much almost confirmed to be a member of the Lupin family, the premise for next week's episode is a little dumb. And has me looking at it more like a filler episode than some kind of big plot development one.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because I will admit, like you say, the idea that he's part of the Lupin family does seem all but confirmed at this point. So the Gangler spy thing does seem a bit out of left field, but it could open up to him. It's like, no, this isn't my secret, and they could go, well, what is? And he could finally open the doors to say, fine, this is what I've been keeping from you. Just get that shit out of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the old Nego wasn't just like a total jerk. He had some pretty good. He was a pretty good person. So I don't think his character will change that much. It's probably just gonna be more like a misunderstanding thing, and once it's basically just gonna force Noel to spill the beans. But anyways, final thoughts on this episode. It was friggin' awesome. One of the best, for sure.
I've said it a billion times with this show already, and I'll say it again. It was fun, kept me engaged, kept me wanting more, kept me wanting Noel, but that's another story. This was just, oh my god, I cannot wait to see this finish up. Sad as it is, but oh my god, this was amazing.
I'm not ready for this show to end.
Right?
Oh, this is the best episode of the series, and it is the culmination of everything that the show has been building up to. It is the team up. It is all the character growth that they've gone through, showing itself, being put out there. It is theories like that we've had putting themselves in the light. It is everything that we would want in a finale, and we still have like 8 episodes to go.
Right. It's like this is the culmination of everything so far, and it's like Bryce says, like this is the type of thing that we would expect in the finale. So to me, that only makes me wonder how much more amazing the finale is going to be. Like it's hard to look at this series and think we're this close to it being over. And I'm starting to get worried with how good this series has been with what we're going to end up possibly going into. Because I'm having, in terms of the greatness of the show, I'm having X-Aid flashbacks. So from X-Aid to Build, to me it went downward, and I'm hoping that that's not the case. I'm hoping Toei learned a lot with this series to make the next one even better. But the fact that we only have like 8 episodes left, and we still have a lot of questions, a lot less than we started with, but we're starting to get to that point where we're finally getting the answers, and I can't wait to see what they are. This episode was just absolutely perfect for me. And on that note, that about wraps up this episode. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back tomorrow for Kamen Rider Zio, and we will be back next week for the next episode of Kaitou Sentai LupinRanger versus Keisatsu Sentai PatoRanger. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Adieu and later, taters.
See you next time.